Hey everybody, my name is Skye. Welcome to this podcast. This is the Raw Food Podcast. You've got JJ and myself, who are both raw foodies. We completely transformed our health with raw food. And hey JJ.
Hey, Skye, thank you so much for inviting me back on. I appreciate it. Or back to our podcast, right?
We are, we
Welcome,
are, and I
everyone.
and I love this topic. Well, I love all the topics we do, but I think what was very apparent last week is a whole lot of people you can't eat that. You have to have cooked food. What about our brains growing? What about protein? What about? There's a new
Yes,
song.
thank you to those amazing questions or comments last week because it gave us the idea for this stream. Because I do think not only people that might not be vegan, but I think a lot of people that are beginners have these questions and maybe are afraid to ask or they have to research it. So,
There's two schools of thought, right? There's one that someone's inquisitive. They want to know, if I do this, where will I get all these nutrients? And then there's the other people who have no intention of doing it and just really just blocking themselves from experiencing. You don't even have to go fully raw, but having more fresh food or
mhm.
having more of something. So it's good to be mindful. It goes back to when I first went raw, and when I started telling people, everyone told me why they couldn't do it. And I wasn't expecting people to do it. I'm like, why don't to be open-minded and be like, I could try this. I could include more raw food. Go away, think about it. You don't want to block yourself. You don't want to be
Mhm.
like, I can't do this. I can't do this. Because if you're doing it for one thing, you're doing it for others. So
Yes. I totally agree, and I am just always so thankful that I had enough of an open mind coming from Standard American Diet to see that documentary and having some of those fears, of course, those things I had heard, but it just something clicked and I saw those people healing and I saw this glowing skin and I also saw all the people around me who were unfortunately not eating raw vegan that were a lot of them having health issues, and I'm like, okay, so something's not adding up here. I think they might be on to something. So then having the same results for myself of eliminating back pain, losing weight, more energy, it's like it's hard to tell me something isn't true when I've lived it.
that's a good point. I think another point was when I got online and saw photos of everybody eating raw food, is everyone's glowing.
Hmm.
I was like, I've never seen anything like it. There's this apparent glow, and I could feel it. The whole universe feels like it switches on.
Hmm.
But I thought, why don't we cover some of the ones that came up for me? We can talk about any of them, any that you think of, JJ. But the ones that came up for me, I'll list them.
Hi,
Okay.
Carl.
Hey, Carl. Okay, so I wanted to address you can't get any protein from a raw vegan diet. The other myth is the anti-nutrients in food, and that's why I can't be a raw vegan. That our brains grew because we ate cooked foods. And four is we need meat for iron. I think I'm proof of that. When I ate meat, all I did is get iron infusions, and I went raw and didn't need as many. And then the last one I've got down here is raw vegans are weak. And
Yeah.
I've done more as a raw vegan than I did when I've eaten cooked food.
Yeah. And
I've done so much.
I would like to say before we even get into these topics that with anything you do, there are nuance to it, right? So maybe you knew someone who did a raw vegan diet and maybe they literally ate lettuce for their whole diet, right? And or
True.
never, took maybe they didn't have great absorption coming into this diet. Maybe they had pre-existing things and didn't take any, like I take moringa to fill in gaps, right? Like
Mm.
for some nutrient, like there's different types of ways people do it. Like this is always the joke in the vegan world that someone could eat literally cookies and chips, and that's a vegan diet. So like
Yes.
when we talk about this, there's also importance to do your research and to try different things to make sure you are feeling your best self. It's not one size fits all, as we've, talked about. You and me eat a little bit differently, but we both eat a raw vegan diet.
I think if you look at the community as a whole, I am still to this day most attracted to the vibe, the energy, the accomplishments, the mood, the connections of raw vegans as a whole. So I think you
Hmm.
can never go in, and there's always that argument. I think there's two people who ate a raw vegan diet and died of what people think is malnutrition, right? You can't take away some people still have eating disorders. You
Yeah.
know, people are dying. Like, isn't the number one cause like bowel cancer from meat, clogged
Heart
arteries from
disease
meat, heart? All these people dying from meat, and people see two people who are raw vegan,
in
and
the
they're like,
whole
"Oh,
50
but you're
years.
gonna die." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah,
I'm like,
and it's
"I
like
was
a lot
dying
of
before."
they're worried about us, right? Like when we first do it, like you need to eat something, and something is such a broad range of, of what it is that I need to eat, like because I wasn't eating processed, noodles, or what is something, right? I'm eating fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Like that seems like the most natural thing you can eat, and yet it's so like judged in a lot of ways. Like, wait a minute, that's all you eat? It's like I'm eating the stuff that we were told as kids to eat.
So I have a theory that people aren't as worried about us as they are about worrying about losing their reality. Because I feel like raw food is the natural way we're supposed to eat, and confronting someone with that really triggers something in a lot of people. So they're like, I can't do it because of this, I can't do it because of this, I can't. I feel like that's what happens in a lot of people. And I am not saying you have to shift your whole reality, but you might be a bit healthier because you add a juice to your life. You might be a bit healthier because every 3 o'clock in the afternoon you swapped your chocolate bar for some nuts, seeds, and fruit. And
Hmm.
that, I think, is being open minded. And I think that's really important. And like, it's just such a, like, when how sick I was to how good I feel doing this is like something I want to share. I'm not here to change. I don't want to ever be like, you
Yeah.
need to do this. I'm just sharing things I've noticed, all the amazing things that my body can do now and stay healthy and happy and live my dream life. And that's why we do this, right?
And another reason I like to think it's sort of along those same lines that I do it is because I was 42 and came across this information. And to think about somebody out there might be, 18 or 22, or even maybe somebody 75, and they've been suffering and they're in pain, and
Mm.
they don't know that this is even a thing. Like they don't know that people are healing by eating more fresh foods, and to extremes, so, or
Mm.
feeling this good. And I'm like, I feel like a lot of us feel like we owe it almost as like a repayment for this beautiful blessing I was given. I want to share my story to tell others, not judging anybody and saying, if you don't eat like me, it's wrong. It's just to say, like, hey, guess what? I had these issues. I do this. I feel great and I healed. And I think that's where sometimes the confusion comes in of people that might jump on these kind of streams and think that we're, being judgmental in some way. And it's like, it's just about presenting this information.
One of the most amazing things is that I'm well, I'm able to work. And that being able to work, which is to give back and to be in service, is the excess energy I have. Like, I notice when I don't have enough energy, I start to have to shut down and we can't give as much. So the only reason I can do what I do, and that is like share and YouTube and podcasts and reels, and that energy is really from how much it's really essentially the raw food. I still like the analogy I give where everybody's locked to unlock their happiness. There's a big door which stands in the way, which is huge, right? And then there's essentially there's like where you put the key in, right? The lock. And the lock has to have a key. So there's 3 stages to getting your happiness. And to me, the key is the raw food. The lock part is the, like, basically nature. And then the door is the sleep, the low stress, the good people, the movement. And then you put all that together. And then that's the only way I've ever found my happiness in life. And
I love
I love
that.
that.
Yes, it's like a whole package, right? Like, you can't really do anything with like this narrow view. I feel like that's what this diet has done for me. First of all, I came into raw vegan not even knowing what a vegan is necessarily. I remember thinking, does that mean you don't eat cheese, or is that the one that you know what I mean? Like I was that early in it, and yet by saying I'm raw vegan, it brought that algorithm to me, and I just felt like completely just got so enamored and in love with raw foods, because as I started feeling better, I learned more, and then I learned about what really vegan the philosophy is, and that just felt like so much like where I had always like thought that I should be, but didn't know what it was, if that makes sense. Like I felt like it aligned with me
That's a
perfectly, like
good,
meeting a
yeah.
soulmate or something. It was like, this is where I was supposed to be, and I just didn't know about it for 42 years.
Yeah, or how to get there, right? How to do it right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through these myths. So the first myth is you can't get any protein from a raw vegan diet, which essentially people say it about vegan diet, but they think it's an extra level of a raw vegan diet. So what are your thoughts on that myth?
Well, I too was one of these people that always thought you needed meat for protein. Grew up, I had to have some type of protein on the plate. I kind of somewhere along the line may have known that beans had protein, but it was mostly that. And I learned something, that every single thing in this world is made up of protein, and the differences are the what is that word I'm looking for? How saturated of protein it is. So, in other words, you might be able to eat certain foods and generate more protein than others, but lettuce has protein in it. It's a very small amount, but if you're eating a well-rounded, a lot of different items, you can get all your complete proteins. And I did not realize that. And then if you want, more concentrated you want to get it quicker, there are even like bean sprouts and just so many different things. Like we just think and protein isn't even something that is in an animal, if I'm understanding correctly. I know it's way more complicated, but the animal, just like fish, are eating algae, and that's how they're getting omegas. Or a
Yeah,
cow is eating, the grass, and it's making his own protein, and then we're just
yeah,
secondhand.
that's exactly right. So everything in an animal came from a plant. So why can't we just eat it that way? So it's his name. I can't remember his name right now, but there's a guy I've had on my channel. His handle is like the plant-based podcast, and he's really intelligent. He's amazing. He does all these talks and stuff. He's
Mhm.
actually a musician. Andrew. His name's
I
Andrew.
was going to say it starts with an A.
Yes, it's Andrew. And he did a like, it's like a TikTok stating how if you eat enough calories of any one plant, you will get all your amino acids for that day. So obviously for lettuce, you're going to have to eat tons, probably a ton.
Yeah,
But he kept
like you would
showing,
have to eat like a
the
cow just
economy
grazing.
that, yeah, you're going to get, no matter what, that's not true for processed sugar or processed oil. Whole foods. If you eat enough calories of a whole food, you will get all your protein needs. But it's also about absorption. Like, if anybody's seen a photo of me when I was on protein shakes, I was like, I couldn't absorb anything. So it's like when people say I need iron. And I'm like, well, you can eat these things. It doesn't mean you're going to absorb them. It's like eating a piece of metal to get iron. Is when you eat something which the body recognizes doesn't make leukocytes, has hydration, has enzymes, you assimilate it much better. And so with amino acids is if you eat enough, you'll get enough. Plus, we don't need 150 grams of protein unless that's what you want, right? A woman only needs, I think it's like 42 or 43 grams of protein a day.
Hmm.
If you want more, you can source that out. And of course, there's concentrated protein. And in fact, the plant proteins have more protein than beef per 100 grams, like lentils and broad beans. And yes, you'd have to eat more. Or you can do like a concentrated powder if you want to bulk up. But the other thing is that it's not all about amino acids. Is the reason I'm healthy is because of sugars, fats, and protein. They're
Hmm.
all macronutrients my body needs. It doesn't just need protein.
Right.
So, to assimilate and to build with that protein, it's going to need some carbohydrates, you know, and then to have all the connections and the cells working in my body, it's going to need some fats.
Right.
And the more your mindset sits in, it's called abundance or variation or, the things we actually need. You never want to hyper focus. So, but yes, also I do soaked lentils. Some people do the sprouts, the chickpeas and broad beans and peanuts really high
I
in.
love
I can keep
walnuts.
talking.
Yes, that's amazing. Even avocados have, I think, some protein in them.
Everything has protein.
Yeah, like, I just it's like if you can, like you said, focus on one nutrient, but really the thing with raw vegan to me is just everything as long as I'm eating fruits, vegetable, nut, or seeds, all of it together, the synergy of the way it makes me feel, it's
Yeah.
just it all works together. And, you know, you can eliminate things from your diet, but I think I was talking to someone who did the keto or carnivore, I think whatever it's called now, and they literally, if you look at it really closely, they don't have vitamin, like animals don't make vitamin C, I think it was. So there's even a supplement necessary for that, but you don't hear about it. You only hear about, like, oh, vegans can't get everything. Like it's interesting to watch the way that works, but I think it's also because it's so different from how everyone's comfortable. We're looking for
Yes.
reasons to get out, to say, I
Yes.
can't do this, so we feel better, I feel like.
So I don't know a human who deep down would not want to hurt an animal. But it's a big confrontation to go vegan.
Hmm.
And like that's why I'm not someone who yells about it, because I don't want to scare people off. I want to inspire people to make change. I
Me
don't
too.
think like I believe a slow change is more sustainable than shocking yourself and feeling like you've done it out of like anger, regret, and pain and staying really angry, because I see a lot of people then go back. I want people to start making better choices for themselves and learn that they don't need to have these things, because deep down nobody wants to hurt an animal, but then you confront them with the answer and it's too much for them to face. That's like that's you can't change that idea that I have about that. And but that doesn't take away that I went vegan, and vegan to me is very different to raw vegan. Like I actually think it's halfway between, like you like it's a great step, but it's not. Even when people are like, oh, you're vegan, I'm like, yes, I am vegan, but it is nothing like raw vegan. Someone gave the example that being a raw vegan, you think of everything. You don't just think of animals. So you think, I want this planet to be better, I want to raise my consciousness, I want it's like all these aspects. So, I want to talk on this too. Hey, Koala Mama, they just discovered a new vitamin
Koala.
called A5 that's only in plant foods, is needed to prevent basically all the top mental and physical illnesses people now have. I wanted to talk on this as well because we don't actually even know when it comes to vitamins, nutrients, the assimilation in the body, the synergy, what's actually in a plant. We don't even know like 1%. Apparently there's 99.99999, it goes on for ages, of things we need to discover about nutrition. And this
Hmm.
is why when I first went raw, I was like, I feel like science is just a minefield of like keeping people in denial, because you can go down any path and rebut why you do something, or find information as to why. I love that overall, the research says that a plant-based diet is much whole food plant-based diet is lowering incidences of all disease. I love that, like as a general umbrella. But really, like I believe we're gonna, in the next 50 years, we're just gonna discover more and more. And this will lead me into anti-nutrients, which are actually antioxidants, and they're in such small amounts in plants, they actually have a beneficial effect. It's only if you have only spinach or only, there's a lot of oxalate. So it's like universe provides.
Yeah.
It's given out there. It's giving small amounts because we're supposed to have small amounts.
It's like
It's,
trying to read a sentence with only one of the words. It's not going to make
yes,
sense, right? And why would you do that? Like a whole book has one word, right? Okay, so like you need the rest of it in order to make it make sense. And that's like how our bodies are, and
yeah,
that's what I don't think. Like I was just thinking when you were talking about science, and then we can go back to this one real quick. How amazing nature is, that, we always think that man is smart. And of course, we have wonderful, amazing, smart inventors and things that can make something out of nothing, right? But think about nature, how it literally, the sun rises every day and the sun goes down and the world spins, and our bodies are literally just like machines that are constantly trying to regulate and keep us alive. Even no
Yeah.
matter what we do to them, they back to regulating. And I think a lot of the symptoms we feel is our body saying, this is not what I'm supposed to have. But we kind of, either don't know or we kind of ignore that fact. And like, it's literally, once I learned and started thinking about my body as like the most precious thing that exists for me, because without it
Yeah.
everything else is not important. And I'm like, wow, it's just when you respect it like this well oiled machine, or however you want to say it, and you think about how we think of animals as being different, or think about machines as being different. It's like literally that all kind of, for me now as a raw vegan, ties in. Animals are just like me. I'm like more on the same. I think I've switched to two topics, but I feel more connected to even animals now that I'm raw
Oh,
vegan
yeah.
somehow.
Everything you feel better. But it's such a good point, is we can put up a scientific example of something that's going on in the body, like the metabolization of proteins or fats, right? But there's a trillion other things at that exact time going on. So as you said, you can't focus on one word in the whole book or one word in the sentence, is you really don't know. And I love this, right? Because 50 years ago, what we were told, people were smoking, excessive drinking, all these things are now cancer causing. And my theory is what we know now will just be cancelled out in 50 years time anyway. So you really have to listen to, I feel, to your body. And I think of when I was on all that medication, right? All that medication did is keep me comfortable. You have to put a human into uncomfortable and then severe pain, even facing death, to make change. I only made change because there was no more medicines, there was no more hospitals, there was no more family support, there was no more anything. It forces one to go, I have no choice but to never eat the cooked food again, because in my situation, the cooked food made me sick. If you medicate me, I'm too comfortable. Like, and that is this is my lived experience, is us humans are supposed to feel these things in our body, and they're not supposed to be numbed. They're supposed to get louder and louder until we redirect. And that can be, more sleep, better nutrition, that can be lowering your stress, lots of different things. But we're so disconnected because everything in the world is stimulating us in a poisonous type way.
I think
Um,
also we can question things. Like when we were kids, we tended to do that instead of just taking things as face value. Like when someone told me, you're not supposed to do this, I would ask why. And some kids might not be like that, but when I was first learning everything, I'm like, why don't we do that? Or why do we do this? But over time, you become just kind of indoctrinated with whatever the system is, whatever everybody does, that's what you do, because it's just,
yeah.
you don't ask why. And I feel like I never asked it, like, well, we eat this animal and we don't eat this one. Like now I'm thinking back about it, like, why didn't I ever question that and say why? Or, you need to take a medication for the rest of your life, and never ask what's the core issue, like why. I did this one video and I likened it to, like, if your shower or your sink is clogged and you just keep taking buckets and removing some of the water, and then that's the same thing as sometimes we'll take a medication, and just me included, I'm not saying everybody else, but everybody did. Like we constantly, like I had back pain every day and never thought my food was connected to it or anything that I was doing. It was just, okay, if I feel pain, I have to take this, or,
Yeah.
it's so amazing.
But you know what our downfall in the fabric of our reality is that more than anything, I'll give you this example. It's always back to psychology. In psychology, they get a baby monkey and they separate it from its mum, which is terrible. But it was a study, right? And it's been like they video record it and showed us. And so over in the corner is a little bottle that has food, right? And every time it gets up to go to the bottle, there's a bang, right? So it runs back, and there's a little carpeted It's like a metal cylinder that's got carpet around it, which is comfort, right? So a little monkey will run back to that, and it'll go across to the food, and there'll be a bang, and it won't go back, and it'll cling on, and eventually it'll just hug the carpet, because we're conditioned and primed from birth to want love and comfort first, right? The baby
Mhm.
will starve. It doesn't go back. There's no more bangs. It will not go back. And is that example is we are born into wanting to fit in and feel love and
Mhm.
human connection more than sleep, exercise, and nutrition, and even being different. I think being different is like huge. The foundation of what we are as humans is love, right? And the greatest expression of love is community. And if
Mhm.
everything you're born into, and like another example of that is the stand up, sit down. So on the train, there's this study where on the train is someone gets on, and the 5 people in the carriage stand up and sit down every 1 minute. And the person who's got on the train starts to do that. Now, one of the
Right.
seven people gets off and someone gets on. They're all doing it, right? Up, down.
Mhm.
By the time the 7 people have got off, there's 7 new people on that were never told about the experiment, that are still standing up and sitting down. You
That's
know, and
hilarious.
and then there's more people coming in. And the people now on the train were never given instructions. They don't know why they're standing up and sitting down,
But they're
but they
doing it.
want to fit into their fabric. And that is the
That's
problem.
amazing.
It takes somebody to question. And that's why I always bring up how important it was that I had lost everything, that the FND had disconnected me completely from people. I was
Mhm.
basically my own community. I mean, I was crazy at the time, right? So, I had my own thing, my own world. And in my world, I'd realized how loudly food had affected me. But if you put in loving parents, people who are giving you things, doctors who you're told from birth, these amazing, you don't question. You're like the
Mhm.
people on the train, or you're like the little monkey. So,
Mhm. Yeah, Carl.
um,
Exactly.
yeah, there's
Uh,
like it's really,
well,
I think out of everything, it's if you think about that, that's what the fabric of reality. Um
yes, I would stop. I wouldn't be standing up and sitting down, right? Like, what are
I
you
don't,
guys
but you know
doing?
what? I
Anybody
feel
know
like
why we're doing this? Is it
when
for
you eat
our
raw
glutes?
food, when you eat raw food, I feel like you're connected to something different. So when you eat denser food, I feel like you're connected to a density that you don't understand, but you believe in that. As you connect to raw food, you're more interested in the birds and the trees and going, what the F is everybody else doing? Like
It
whether
just seems
they're
like you're
standing up or
different
sitting
from a
down, you
different
kind of like,
planet.
I, yeah, like everything. So yeah, but I'm
I am
glad you
from planet Vega.
but we get used to it. And what you have to remember is being different is my superpower. The reason I have confidence to do differently to what other people do all started because I started to eat really differently. And I was like, well, I've gone this far. I may as well just do other things I want to do.
Yeah, I think that's something you mentioned earlier too. Like I read this it just reminded me I was listening to I forget her name. It's Shala Shalin. I'll have to look it up, but I'll give her credit. But she's like a researcher, and she said that you would think that instilling fear in someone, actually helps them change, but it freezes people or they run away from it, right? Most of the time, even though we think that fear would make so like if someone tells me this is not good for you, for example, and you really don't want to make that change in your life, you will figure out a way around or away from that. Like you're not just going to change your life. And you said something earlier about adding switching your snack to raw fruits and vegetables, and I think that's the important thing. There are some people who can go all in and just change their life overnight, but more so than not, you have to figure out that it's doable in your life in order for you to start to get your head around these things that we're talking about. So, eating a raw vegan eating a salad every single day, or having fruit for your lunch tomorrow instead of what you normally eat. Start to incorporate more raw foods, see what you like, what you don't like. And that starts to make it feel doable. If some of these things are sounding like, yeah, this is making sense, but like part of you just wants to scroll off because you're like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to change my life. It doesn't have to be completely like overhauled. You can start to figure out how it works. And I think that's what, like, I figured out really quickly, like, wow, I can eat a salad. I get it. Like, this is okay. I can do this. I've ate salads before, but thinking about being a raw vegan in my mind sounded so far from where I am.
Yes. I get you to just kick Jim H out, if that's okay?
Yes. Actually, got it.
Thank you. Okay. So when it comes to confrontation and things making people uncomfortable, the problem is when people are eating foods that don't serve them and moving, their nervous system is at full capacity, right? And a lot of people's default mechanism of protection is to shut down, hence why they're not exercising. They come home from work and want to just lay in front of the television. They can't take anymore. So when you go at that person and be like, you can't do, you've got to eat this way, you've got to eat that way, they're in a shutdown mode. And this is why I'm so strong in believing that love is the way, as in, you're better off loving a person into health and their new lifestyle. And you would want to hope that like 10 years, 20 years from now, they remember that and they've continued the love path, because most people's default mode is shut down, including mine. If I'm eating too dense, I will just, you can't take in anymore. And it's not a conscious decision. The brain is very protective. It's another trillion thing going on in the background. It's doing its job,
Right.
at that state. But like my biggest thing is when it comes to something positive or anything, this is why I look for positivity, even in what people might consider evil, because if you can learn a lesson or see something, you may change your life because of it. You can learn. I believe we can learn in all situations. So
I think that's important to remember. Your brain is working with you. It's just the way that, I think I said in my last video, the way that it manifests sometimes feels like it's working against you, but really it's doing exactly what all your other organs are doing, trying to protect you. And that's why we see defensiveness from people sometimes, because it's trying to protect them.
well, think about even me losing a lot of my memory to trauma. Is you can see that as a horrible thing. This bloody fluff. I ordered it and it's not staying on.
Oh no. Hi, Uncaged Heart Coaching.
Let me see if I can get it back on. Sorry, guys. One sec. Oh, it'll be fun. Okay, so what was I saying?
You were saying, wait a minute. Now I went back to, trauma. Even though you lost your memory.
Oh yeah. Where was I going with that? So even though you can see it as a bad thing, right? But can you imagine the effort or the suffering that somebody goes to, that their brain just shuts down? Like, and how good it is that I don't have to remember that stuff until
Right.
I'm in a better space. So it is all perception, and that's when you can spend years thinking that you have all these problems and trying to get medications or sitting in therapy for it. But what if you actually ask yourself, instead of getting someone else's opinion, what is my body trying to teach me? And that doesn't mean that things like medication or hospitals aren't amazing if you are near death. Like if you've looked after yourself and you fall off a chair and injure yourself and you think you've broken a bone or your bone's sticking out of your body, you want to go to these places. That's their job. But if you've looked after yourself and your mental health is good and you've exercised, you recover. I can tell you, when I get anything coming up, I'm just so amazed how quickly my body recovers, because I'm so much stronger, and how much I look after myself, how quickly I just feel better. And I use those things so much less. Like it was so disheartening to completely rely on other people and feel like you're just draining a system. And doing this, I feel like I can not only not drain a system, but I can give back to this planet. And like for me, that's all part of being what I call a raw vegan. So
I like
yeah,
that.
trolls are learning. Well, apparently trolls are learning while they're on the toilet. So I guess, whatever.
And
Wherever.
it's another thing that gets better when since I've been raw, right? If we wanted to talk about the bathrooms.
Oh yes, some people go like 7 sorry guys, 7 times a day or something like that. And I think like when my bowel is empty, my brain is clear. As soon as I get any backed up, my brain is just starts to become foggy. Like
Mhm.
it just, I call it like flow. Everything should just be flowing through your body all the time. Like in, assimilate, and out. In, assimilate, and out. There's like a bit of a workout going on there. So, all right. So should we move to another one?
Let's do it. I know
Another
we're
myth.
coming up
I
on
love how we
6
we
o'clock.
make episodes where we've got like 10
I
things or
know,
5
and
things,
we
and
were
then we're
gonna do
like,
5 each. I'm like, "I'll just do yours today."
okay,
We'll be
all
here
right.
like, "Oh, we have our live stream from 5 to 10."
Yeah,
Just
we're
kidding.
going all day. So the next one I have down is the anti-nutrients in plants. So,
Is that like
nu-
uncle nutrients?
but like even before we get into this, it's like how much does a cow want to be killed? Like or anything. So like I'm talking about any nutrients in plants. Like when you go up, you just pull the plant out or you eat your fruit or whatever you're going to eat, right? Is and so people are like, oh, I don't eat that because I'll eat a cow that's eaten the anti nutrients.
Mhm,
And
right,
then,
right.
like as if it doesn't have defense mechanisms. Like, so that's just absolutely nuts in my mind, first off. But do you want to say anything on this before I go in?
No, I was joking earlier. I was saying anti-nutrients, uncle nutrients, but that
Of
was
course
that's
you
all I
were.
was saying. I was just being silly. You covered it exactly right. I think, you can find a million reasons not to eat anything, right? So,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that is there are I don't understand what that even means when they say anti-nutrients to be
Oh,
understood.
okay. So, nutrients that block other nutrients, like I think
Oh, got it.
oxalate
Right.
start to cause like kidney stones. There's something they bind to calcium and start to cause kidney stones. And just on oxalates is no matter if there's only a few people in society that actually have a gene default where they will make these kidney stones from oxalates. It's like an oxalate intolerance, like this mutation which has occurred. They've been born with it, and whether they eat spinach or whether they eat meat is they will still develop these problems. So it's not really viable. And I love what Dr. Brooke Goldner says. She goes, I don't see people in hospital with kidney stones from green juice or
Yeah,
smoothies. She goes, I
that
just
is
don't
it.
see it. She
It's
goes,
like
that's
once
not the people that come in. But
but
I
I
can
think once
go
people
for it.
are sick, they're told, "Well, don't eat," or have this condition, right? And they're like, "Oh, my doctor said not to eat, spinach or whatever." And then all of a sudden, like, spinach is getting the bad name, and it's like, "No, that's because now you've progressed to this. It's not that spinach is causing anybody's
It's
problems." I
not the
love that.
Captain Crunch. It's not the Captain Crunch or
N
the deep fried fish and chips or the
no.
Chinese takeaway. It's definitely the green smoothie that's made
Yeah.
you sick.
And then someone said, I think it was someone said, the amount that would be needed for a person of regular health to like literally if you only ate one type of thing. And I tend to eat like a bunch of different things, a lot of fruit, a lot of,
Yes.
I don't just eat I don't even really eat a lot of too many different kinds of greens, but I love trying different lettuces. So if you're really sincerely worried about that and you don't want a lot of oxalates or, even though everything has some, you just pick what you like out of the diet that would be lower in that. Like it doesn't mean you can't be raw if you want to eat more fruit, for example, there's plenty of ways that you could do it that way too. For if people are saying I don't want to eat plants, there's even a fruitarian type of way to do raw vegan. So it is like so many different ways to do it. It reminds me of that commercial, even though that's not vegan, or they might have a vegan version of a Reese's cup, but there's so many ways to eat a Reese's. There used to be a commercial here. It's the same way. There's many different ways. And sometimes you might have to eat a different type of raw vegan diet in the beginning, and then you adjust to a different one. Like you and me have different diets than, have over time.
So I need to bring this up because there's that girl who eats the butter, the Asian lady who eats, she's a carnivore.
Hmm.
I don't. Do you know who she is? And she goes to the toilet once, I think twice a week, and I think it's diarrhea or whatever she did. And she did the reel. Have you seen it?
I
She's very.
haven't seen the
She's got
reel, but
millions. Someone might be able to help me out. I'll have a look.
I know who she is, though. I've seen
Yeah.
her eating the butter.
So this is really important. So over on TikTok, she did a post of all the pesticides that are in plants. Like she did this multiple posts, and I was one of the first to comment. I didn't realize my comment would get so many likes. Well, I kind of did. I don't know. So underneath, I went, "You do know," because she's eating butter. Okay, like I said, you do know that I think someone quoted me one of the studies that 99% of the animals in America eat those plants. I said, but I didn't say that. Someone else commented under my comment, but I said, you do know that the butter, unless somebody can find free range, and even free range, they have to, the grass turnover is so high, they still need to spray. They can't, no animal is really, even if they're organic, they're still sprayed. Organic is still sprayed, right?
Yeah.
So I said, you do know that you're still eating it. And I think it's got thousands and thousands of likes, but all the comments underneath saying it's true, no matter how you look at it, is everything in those animals they've eaten at a worse grade than we have. Most people.
Yeah.
Unless you've got enough grass, like paddocks and paddocks away from streets, roads, no, but no farmer, even free range, does. You can't keep up with the grass turnover. So that's really important. And as for muscle and strength, you should have seen me when I didn't eat raw. I couldn't hold up my own body. So it's all
Right.
about
Now
assimilation,
we've seen you,
electricity.
your workout, right? We've heard
Yeah, now
about
I'm
that. You're
Pilates running
jogging and
every day.
running, and
Yeah.
that's
So I wanted to
amazing.
bring that up because I've even put, GMO, all the animals are GMO fed too, and that they're eating worse. When you eat raw, you get to pick. I also wanted to say I healed myself with non organic, non spray free food. When I was eating anything before, everyone saw me, I was very, very sick. And I couldn't afford, I was on disabilities. I'd just go to Woolworths here in Australia and just order the stuff. I think carrots I might have got organic, but I healed myself and now I can afford spray free. But if I don't get sick and I'm very, very sensitive. The steak and butter girl. That's what she's called. So yes, that she goes to the
There's
toilet once a week, which I couldn't do. Her boyfriend tried to do it and he couldn't do it. He got really sick,
if
which I
you
know she
look
was
at,
really upset about.
like, a butter or,
Mm.
fat of any kind in a pan, like when I did used to cook, like, people would use like, that would harden up, and, like, this is something I never thought about until I was raw vegan, and then you see what that does in the pan, like, it pretty much when it gets warm in your going through your digestion, I'm like, "Okay," but
Yes.
eating straight butter, every time I've ever heard of anyone, even if they're not on a vegan diet, if they were having any type of heart issues, typically they tell them to cut down on regular butter. And like, it's just amazing. Like, I don't understand how that can even be a way of eating healthy. I get it, lose weight. You can lose weight in multiple ways, but you won't be catching me eating any steak and butter. So
So what about Brian Johnson? Oh, sorry. Yeah, you saw that. There's another guy, Brian, who's a bodybuilder I follow on Instagram, who's amazing as well. But the fact that his vitals are measured daily, it's scrutinized, and they can't do better than put him on plant-based. It shows to me like they will literally change anything for him, for him to basically reverse age. And there's no meat products in his life. It's just getting louder and louder and louder in society that we're supposed to eat plants. So I want to say, yes, I am vegan, but vegan didn't make me healthy. I had to go raw. It was definitely a stepping stone, and everyone has a different experience. But for me, I think there's different levels to it as well. And I believe if you go whole food, you should experience high raw, and then as you add cooked food back in, you get to choose how it feels in your body. Uh, that's my theory, but everyone's at a different stage.
yeah, I
Um,
agree. I've had just recently here, I was telling the story. Now I will say sometimes I'm not 100% because I will sometimes eat like a couple of walnuts, let's just say, if I'm out and they're not completely raw, but for the most part everything is raw. And I
Walnuts are raw. Well, essentially anything that comes in a packet isn't really technically raw, but it's part
Yeah,
of
I
the
knew
raw diet.
somebody might, like, call me out or something. I saw walnuts in your salad, but, as far as practically possible for me, and then when I added cooked food several different times over the last 7 years, even to the point of just lentils on top of my salad, I felt the difference, like, in my joints, my knees. Like, I definitely agree with you that I've been vegan and raw vegan, and a lot of the ailments that, we may think are just something that, oh, it's just because I'm getting old, I find they go away when I'm raw. So just if anyone's dealing with any kind of, pain or of any kind, like knee, back pain, like I find a lot of people who say they add the most, even if you can't go all, but as much raw food as
Mm.
possible.
Um, yeah, I think why when you get to a certain age, raw works extremely well is we have used a lot. So when you're born with a certain amount of enzymes in the body, and as you age, eventually, I think it's like 35, your body kind of stops making them. But enzymes are non-specific. So if your body needs enzymes for breaking down food or for neurotransmitters in the brain or wherever it needs the enzymes, it will send it there. If you get a sore knee and you start getting, as you age, less and less enzymes are in the body, is it doesn't go to fix these things. Also stomach acid decreases. Everything as you age is just not as efficient. That's why when you're young is, people can do things which they can't do as they age. And then as you start putting all the hydration and nutrients, and it just feels so easy to assimilate and you feel electric.
Yes.
So legumes exhaust me. Hello, thank you. Raw vegan takes
Welcome.
dedication. Yeah, but trust me, it takes dedication to have 60 surgeries and 8 organs removed and lay in a bed and have full-time carers. So for me, I'm like, that is a
That
whole,
rolled out. I love
I'm
that.
like, that's a whole lot harder than it is to order some lettuce and green juice. And I think about that often
And you
is,
know what though? You don't look miserable at all eating raw vegan. You should I mean, if you've watched any of her videos, you're just bright, glowing,
yeah,
making your little raw vegan recipes that we all can appreciate. It's like amazing. You enjoy it. And I think if it takes dedication, but you have to find a way to love it. We talk about a lot about that. Find your favorite things. Me, when I have like sushi is one of the meals I use the celebration, right? So it's like you can find different ways to make it fun, I feel like, and and enjoy it too. I agree, but it is dedication because you're different from most people, and that takes dedication to be that,
yeah.
that
All right. So you will need supplements. So I want to clarify here is when I was vegan, eating a cooked vegan whole food diet, I was still sick. We are raw vegan. When I was vegan, I still had psychiatrist. I didn't think I had any surgeries at the time, but my blood work got worse. These and our focus is not so much like I can't eat this because I need to save an animal. I'm like, I can eat this to better the planet. I can eat this. This is my mindset to better myself. I can eat this and no animal is harmed. I can eat this and I will be so electric. So my mind was not much better when I was vegan. Maybe it was a bit better. I just felt better not eating animals, but there was a lot of like confrontation for me about what I had done in the past and the fact I eat animals, a lot of guilt and shame. And once I went raw, I never have those feelings anymore. My brain health is so good. I haven't seen a psychiatrist since going raw. All I did after being that sick with the 60 surgeries and 8 organs removed is I dissociated. I was basically living in psychiatric units. And as soon as I ate raw, so
think Aman
oh,
brings
I
up.
healed too with no supplements. Sorry. I was so nutrient deprived because I'm missing my stomach. I healed with no nuts or seeds, no salt. It was just fresh food like fruit, greens, and veg, and no supplements. I injected B12 once in those 2 years, but I had to do that anyway. I'm missing that part of my stomach. And I was always deficient in iron, whether I was cooked vegan or eating meat. Sorry, I just wanted to add that. That's huge.
No, I really just think I was going to say exactly what you just said too, is that everyone's coming from different places when they usually weren't born as vegan. And even then, their mother might not have been vegan before they were born. So, like, I mean, fed vegan diet as a kid. So, like, we're all coming in with different pre existing ways of absorbing things, and you with having things removed. And, like, I think just keep finding a way to make yourself feel good. If you find that you're miserable, or like you said, you're having like, I'm proud of you for still being vegan. And like, if you are having a psychological issues and you might feel it's related to diet, look it up, research maybe what you can add or talk to others. I think that's important. I've done that. I've added more fat over time, or, pinch of salt if you have to. Like, I think taking a supplement for me and being able to stay raw vegan and feel this good and without all those other ailments is worth it for me, regardless of how we have to do it.
So I want to say, all of anyone out there who's having psychiatric issues, it's worth reading the book called Nutrient Power by William J. Walsh. The reason this is so important is he said that in the future all psychiatric issues will be healed by nutrients. Okay, infusions, injections, not by the gut. The gut cannot absorb the right amounts and assimilate them into the brain. So he discovered that all psychiatric illness is basically a nutrient deficiency in the brain. But to fix that is almost impossible by food or by vitamins orally, because to get nutrients deep into the brain and fix their deficiency, the body just, as I was saying, it has other things it needs those vitamins for, or the body's job is to get rid of it. And he has fixed every psychiatric illness he knows by infusing the right combination. Now, he does say in the book that if you give an ADHD person the schizophrenic cure, which is different in zinc or something, you will cause the ADHD to get worse or the schizophrenia to get worse. It's very specific what a human needs. Now, my theory on this is when this deficiency started to occur, we would have signals. And it's saying as well, is these deficiencies we're usually born with. They've been passed on from generation and generation. So it's almost like a mutation, a defect in the body, which it's always just put up with, which as you get things like hormones coming through the body, that may be when your psychiatric illness shows up, or it can be as you age, or it can be some sort of stress trigger where you're blocked off even more.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, none of this is none of just being injected with multivitamins or vitamins is what he's saying. You have to read the book. It's a very specific at exact amounts. He takes tissue samples, urine samples, feces samples, and blood samples, correlates where a person sits with these things, and injects the exact right amount. If you inject too much, for example, vitamin D or vitamin something, is you actually worsen the effect because you give more of where there's more uptake and all of that. So it's definitely worth it. I'm so lucky I stumbled across it. Not that it's something that I even have access to. But it's something that, I mean, I don't know how far down the rabbit hole you could go. He has got people out of all sorts of situations. But yeah, sorry, I wanted to go on there. I just went off there.
Too, I think it's Don Bennett has a lot of info about how the soils can play a part, and that's why he, even recommends a certain type of. If you need to supplement, it's not necessarily that you're not eating the perfect diet, but sometimes where we're getting our fruit or vegetables may not be grown in the soil that it was millions of years ago, or thousands, of years ago. And I think just being open-minded, like you can say, we can always say like something is wrong with everything, but finding a way to make it work, like you just mentioned, you prefer to have to do it that way rather than be in bed and sick, so if it's making you feel good in a lot of ways, it's definitely worth researching. I think I'll definitely check out that book too. That's great.
And this is a good point. So surely it's better to correct one's diet and the psychiatric issues will eventually resolve themselves. So none of my psychiatric issues resolved themselves until I went raw vegan. And I think what I'm saying about the book, because a raw vegan diet is just nutrients, fluid, and fiber. That's all you're eating. basically any of the science that I talk about is just giving examples of how important nutrition is. And a lot of people aren't doing a raw vegan diet, and it's kind of saying how good nutrition is. I also strongly believe that if I was infused with the right amount, if because my stomach's missing, I notice if anything is injected or infused, my body, it just works. I get no mast cell activation. I get very little problems. I do really well. I do amazing on a raw vegan diet, but I would assume if you gave me some sort of cocktail where there was some damage or deficiency in my body, that I would do better. Do I need it? No, I do not need it. It's not something I need, but I wouldn't be surprised if it got better. And it's really just to kind of say, I don't, one of the worst things any person can do, and I'm not going to judge someone for it, but because I used to do it, is to go into a doctor's office and get your prescription for something like me, which is like 10, 20, 30 different things, right? From stomach medications, hormone replacement before I was 20, a whole lot of pain medication, Botox in my back, SSRIs, ADHD medication. Then as you leave, get a chocolate donut. Like there's no nutrition in that. And I didn't even know I was doing anything wrong. You
Mhm.
know, I think deep down you do. Is if you're on things for like heart thing, like heart diabetes, all of that, and you get all your medications and then you leave and you go home and you just eat, I think that is something people need to look at. And you don't have to change instantly, but if you're using a medication, you should be doing the best lifestyle. We all should be looking after ourselves the best we can. So the book is called I'll bring it up. I've lost JJ there.
Oh, I'm still
um,
here. I just have to give the cat a treat real quick, so she's yelling from the other side of the room here.
just share the screen. Open system. Oh, it's probably going to make me uh, open system settings move. I actually don't. I think I have to log out to get access to this, so I can share it. But it's called Nutrient Power.
Is it the
Uh,
little plus sign on the bottom?
Quit and restart. Allow. It won't let me. Oh yeah, can you share it?
Yeah. What is it? I'll look it up and
It's
share it for
called
you.
Nutrient Power.
Okay.
Screen
Nutrient.
sharing was cancelled. Yeah, so it's called Nutrient Power by William J. Walsh, and it's heal your biochemistry and heal your brain. And
Oh, it has an audiobook too. Cool.
yeah, I might actually do this I think it might be a bit long, but in our book club. Are you in the book club, JJ?
No.
You should be in the book club. You should be
Okay.
in all of them. Uh, yeah, if so, once you share the screen, yes, that's it. Nutrient Power by. You'll have to also add it or add to the stage. There we go. Yes, just scroll up a bit there. Yes, Nutrient Power. That's the book. Audible or wherever you want to get it. It's worth just looking at all the different diagnoses he healed, and you can't give the bipolar injection to the schizophrenic, or you make it worse. It's quite interesting. And he's a doctor too. It's also great how all these book club. Yes, so we do a book club. You guys can join in and read the book. The book at the moment is Carl Cease. We were supposed to actually do book club. So I've got like Lissa and Dulce and who else? Marabella, Kiko, myself, JJ is going to join. And once a month, we read a book and we tell you guys what book it is so you can read and watch us talk about the book. But it's Kyle Cease, The Illusion of Money, I think is the one. Go and have a look at my podcast, my live area on my YouTube, and the book that we're reading right now is up there.
Cool.
Yeah, okay, I'll let you go and eat your salad, JJ.
Oh yes, thank you. I am excited about the salad today.
Oh,
I'm
what are
so
you doing?
hungry.
I'm always
Just the
excited about
same
a
old
salad.
salad, but I'm excited to eat today. I'm just hungrier than normal for some reason. I have those days. I was just, what I was talking about the other day in a post really quick. Um, I read that if you don't get as much sleep, there is actually like scientific reasons that you're hungrier. Because I looked it up
Yes.
because I was like, if I don't, like, I was up late editing and like, yeah, I had a new thing at work I had to do today, so I was like up early, and I'm like, wow, like it really is true. And today I can feel that I had sushi for lunch, and I don't even, I don't even normally eat lunch. I had a grapefruit, and then a couple hours later I had sushi, then I had some walnuts. I was like, okay, I'm just piling it all in today. So,
So you need more carbohydrates, and so your body starts sending out ghrelin and start making you really,
that's
really
what it
hungry,
was.
and your blood sugars go quite erratic, and so that adds to it. But yeah, you'll basically be like living off, your body will try and live off carbs the day
Is
after.
that what makes your stomach start growling? Oh, growling. Good. I had to give
Oh,
a
you know
pun.
what? I've got
No, it
another
wasn't
word for
ending.
you. We need to sleep because the only time the detox pathways open in the brain, in the lymph system, are when we sleep. So we have the lymph system in the body, which gets rid of is like the cleaning, detox, the glands, all of that, right? And so when we sleep, the lymph system will flush through. So we need that. But yeah, you haven't got much power going on in the body or the brain, so your body craves glucose.
I think Marakita, who's Uncaged
Yes,
Heart
you'll
Coaching,
crave
I
sugar,
think it's
a lot of
because
it.
we were talking about this during the cravings one. Your body is trying to find, I mean, your brain's trying to find the quickest way to get you nutrients. And I think the denser food we crave, like I'll crave a little bit more like avocado on those days too, rather than some days if I'm not craving just lettuce and fruit, for example, because our body is trying to get some nutrient quickly. So you can make a like quote unquote, if it's something like that's a cooked or vegan food, that might be what you mean there. And I agree, it could happen because of that ghrelin.
So usually, unless you've got a massive deficiency and you need something like iron and you'll crave iron-rich foods, most of your cravings when you're eating a really dense, nutrient-lacking diet are going to be carbohydrates, fats, or balancing electrolytes. So like salt. So like sugar, fat, salt is like McDonald's hamburger thing, right? Is just
Yeah.
because you're basically in like that slumber where you're trying to get through. And so that's why once you're doing this is you are craving nutrients because you've got plenty of like power.
So
You've
I'm gonna
got the
go to bed.
power.
I'm gonna go to
I
bed at
got
a
the
normal time
power.
tonight. I got the power. Skye always gives us a little song, and I'll give
I
you a pun.
always do this.
It's a
When
signature thing.
I was working on the weekend with a client, and half the conversation was me singing and dancing. Like every time we speak, I'm like, what's
I
the
love it.
lyric with
I
a
always see you
song?
dancing. Is it your niece? Oh my gosh, so cute. You
So
guys
she lets me be
danced
my
for a while.
prime element. Yep, we have to do another one. All
I
right.
also wanted to say I really appreciate all the engagement, everyone who joins these. It really
Yes.
makes it a lot of fun. With Skye, of course, my friend here, and Carl always with his blessings, Koala Mama, Uncaged Heart Coaching. Check out her channel there, Angel Mouse. I like that name. Aman, thank you for the wonderful comments. And I think Sprinkle of Whimsy. I love these names. Sophia. Oh my goodness. I didn't even see some of these people. Sorry that I didn't say hi. Love dogs. Okay.
There's
And
lots
Carl.
of people. Okay, guys, we will be back next week trying to finish our myths. We only got not even halfway through, but that's very much our MO because we talk a lot. And speaking of talk a lot, I will jump on a live. I'll just move my lights around. I haven't been live much in a hot minute, so I'm going to jump on and do a live.
I will tune in. Thank you.
Okay, bye guys.
Hi, everyone.